We're live, sir.
What's up, buddy?
You know, I'm digging out, just digging out.
Does it ever really? Oh yeah, you were on vacation. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you come out of that pile. I was thinking that, feeling like just cleared out the ETH Denver pile. I think on Friday last. So I'm like, oh no, another one.
Well, I switched browsers. But interestingly enough, for all you Mac users out there, I was tired of memory leaks in Chrome. Well, another Chrome-based browser, and did some research, and I didn't even know Microsoft Edge was available on Mac, but it is, and it has the lowest RAM usage of any browser on the market. So giving it a go, giving it a shot. We'll see how it goes. But, it's amazing to me how bad developers are at containing memory leaks in browsers. It's just painful. So anyway, we'll see how it goes.
So what does that mean? Like it just starts bloating out and clogging?
Yeah, it just starts lagging and slowing the fuck out down, everything down. And, I mean, you can only have so powerful a computer. If you run out of memory, you're fucked. So
true. Yeah.
And they keep leaking, and it is what it is. So Sean said, been using Edge for about a month, way better than Chrome. Yeah, it's based on the same engine as Chrome, but it's they do some stuff to optimize memory and shit in the article I read. So we'll see how it goes. So far, so good. Yeah. So we have a guest today. Tom
That's
Wilson.
Right. Yeah.
Stamp protocol. Do I have that open? Yeah, I've got it open. Good. Guy we met at in the Arweave booth at ETH Denver, and had a really cool concept. They were putting these barcodes on. What were they giving us? Hoodies there, or was it jackets?
Yeah. No, hoodies. It was like the Dayglow orange hoodie with the QR code on it.
Yeah, which my children absconded with when I got home. Really cool concept. We'll let him explain how it works. But a really great marketing idea for protocols. Works on the Arweave chain, obviously. But anyway, it'll be interesting to talk to him about that. So, let me see. I have a few news items loaded up. Where is it? No. I had an article on. Here we go. Let me share screen. Share screen. Window. There we go. Sean's going to enjoy this one. Oh, Niblet says Libre Wolf is nice for the paranoid among us for browser. I don't know Libre Wolf, but I'll take a look, man. We'll see. So we discussed yesterday the Binance CFTC lawsuit against Binance and CZ and the COO. Looking at the coverage of it, however CFTC got chat logs and emails, it doesn't look good for Binance. I got to tell you, dude. It's like, and look, the violations of the derivatives and options laws, blah, 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 all that shit tells me, yeah, we have bad regulations. And it's just, to me, it's dumb that, these things can't be allowed to be created. The problem is that the 300 accounts, some controlled by CZ, some controlled by others, trading against their own users. And using evidently data on the exchange. I don't know if that's, front running or what, but those accounts were using data on the exchange when trading against their own users. And, frankly, that's just kind of fucked up. So
it's sort of like, I mean, I guess, if you think about the old market makers and the pits, on Wall Street, they were the ones matching up like prices, buyers with sellers. And you got to think in those situations, I mean, the logic would conclude that they're going to maximize those trades to where they get the biggest take from them. So, sometimes this what looks to be trading against their own position could be market making activity, but it's kind of hard to hide the front running part that you alluded to. I mean, that's documentable. So, now again, I don't know, maybe they were selling allocations up front, and so they're selling big blocks to someone that then is retrading instantly. Maybe there's some like discount on those purchases. We just don't know. But when these organizations grow up, not necessarily grow up, but scale up in the size of deposits and the amount of capital that has to be placed, if they don't have all those rails in place at the beginning, it just never gets put in place.
Yeah.
So, and we saw it with every other one, and I'm not comparing these guys to anybody else, but it's just, as you've been in a lot of startups, Brad, that when you grow, all of a sudden you got to put in infrastructure and, going concern type stuff at different inflection points. I don't think this has happened in these, new financial plays, let's say. We certainly haven't seen it in the other ones of the last year. I mean, what's to say that, Binance is super organized? I doubt it.
Yeah. No, I look, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with the products they're creating. I do have a product problem with, this shit. It's not good. So
no.
Sean said, Sean's making fun of CZ has this series of tweets about FUD, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4. Sean's doing 5 in custody, 6 public hanging. Sean says, when Binance went down, we could still see the CZ bots working via ticks. I don't care for the CFTC, but whoever takes down Binance gets a beer for me. So CZ is Sean is dancing a happy dance today, I think. So
yeah, no love lost there.
No, not at all. Not at all. So and Niblets, by the way, Tom, I don't know if you can hear us, but we'll be right with you, buddy. Apologies for I forgot to send poor Tom the link, so I had to send it to him right now while we were talking. Niblets says Congress might be nibbling around the edges of VPN illegality. Lots of conflicting hot takes right now. I haven't read the source docs from Congress itself yet. I have it open on my desktop. There's a new law called the Restrict Act, which is meant to prevent Chinese and other perceived rivals of the United States from gaining access to our communications and technology, et cetera. Basically, it gives whoever's in the White House the ability to block and ban companies and tech that they perceive as a threat, a la TikTok. And so that's this act. It was passed. Only 7 people voted against it. Of the 407 that were on the floor at the time, one of those 7, believe it or not, was AOC. The gist of all of this, the thing that people are freaking out about, and again, I haven't read the legislation yet, but I am going to read it and pull out these segments of it. Up to a $250,000 fine for using a VPN to access technology that the United States considers a threat to the country. And what the crypto world is kind of freaked out about is that if the United States decides that crypto protocols are a threat to the United States and to our status as the dominant financial player, then they could utilize this act, and then it would make it illegal for any of us to access those protocols at all, but much less up to a $250,000 fine for trying to access them via VPN. So that's what all that controversy is about. But I'm going to read it more, and you and we can discuss it on another day. But it's certainly a concern.
Well, just real quick, that's only come out of the House, right?
Only come out of the House, but with 400 bipartisan votes, I'm pretty confident Senate's going to probably jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
we'll see.
All right, so let's greet Tom Wilson. Tom, welcome to the show, my friend. It's great to see you again, buddy.
Hey, thanks
Tom.
for having me.
Hey, did you recover from ETH Denver? Okay.
I did.
Yeah. How was that? How was that for you guys?
It was great. Lots of interactions, lots of great questions. Again, really discussions around, which we may get into today, kind of Arweave as storage versus Arweave as a platform.
Mm-hmm.
But lots of good conversations with many people that are either using Arweave to store things or getting introduced to the idea that, hey, we can build applications on this network as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I interviewed Sam and posted my interview with him recently, and that was a big gist of our entire conversation, was that Arweave goes far beyond just being a place to stick files. But obviously that's a benefit to it as well. So wait, do I have the wrong address loaded up, buddy? Yeah, hold on. Let me get this.
There we go.
All right. Now we've got the official commercial page up now. That's good. That's good. But first, Tom, if you could introduce yourself to us, tell us what your background is and how you ended up playing around in the Arweave ecosystem. And then kind of, if you want to, I'd love for you to tell us, your thoughts on Arweave, and then we'll get into Stamp Protocol and what you're building.
Great. Yeah. So my name's Tom Wilson, and I've been a developer for north of 25 years.
Oh, so you're as old as Joe. That's good.
Don't worry, Brad's the old man here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm continually learning every day. So my gray hair helps show that. But I got started, kind of in technology, developing it around 9 years old, but then also had the opportunity after college to kind of start some companies over my career, and spent a lot of time in my career in healthcare and working with healthcare interoperability. I had an opportunity to exit and go into what's next. And part of that journey was really kind of to dive into crypto a little bit, learning about crypto and some of the standards, mainly, Bitcoin and Ethereum, a lot of that. But then I guess part of my passion has always been data and how important data is. So I ended up finding Arweave through playing around with Solana and noticing how on chain is very expensive to store data, and then here's Arweave, which provides a way to store data on chain, but it's not nearly as costly, right? It's pretty affordable, and the fact that it is stored forever,
right?
It's really interesting. So my take on Arweave, I guess, kind of my own definition is, Arweave is a blockchain network. It acts like a blockchain network, but you can store any kind of data. But what really got me jazzed is what we call now the permaweb, which kind of sits on top, and these gateways allow you to access that data using GraphQL, which is a query language. So I can query any data on the permaweb by just sending an HTTP call to any node or gateway, which really got me excited, because
that opens up a ton of possibilities, right? Because now you have this massive blockchain-based database that you can do just almost anything with from a data perspective.
That's correct.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So have you worked on other things within the Arweave ecosystem prior to launching Stamp, or what kind of, how did you start dabbling around in it?
Yeah. So my first project is out there. So one of the things is when you launch a project on Arweave or the permaweb, it doesn't go away. So it's out there. My first one was called Permanotes, and basically I wanted a system. I take a lot of notes, and
Me too.
I didn't want those to disappear in Notion or Slack or anything like that if I changed email accounts or whatever. So I created this little permanotes that just allows you to connect a wallet, and you can actually write a simple note, and you can choose if it's private or public. And if it's private, it uses your wallet to encrypt it and store it on Arweave.
Nice.
So yeah,
am I on the right website?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Dude, this is awesome. Are you still actively working on this, or?
Yeah. So there's another version that I'm working on called Permapages, because it took it one step further. Not only can you kind of create a note, Permapages was kind of this next step up, where you could create a blog post, or you could create kind of a markdown driven website. So
there we go.
Yeah, you can create your own little website, and it connects with what's called Arweave name system, or RNS. So you could go to tom.arweave.dev, and you can see my profile. So it uses subdomains to allow you to connect to data on the permaweb.
That's awesome. Wow, that's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Is this going to have, will this have, and this is just my own, I use a product called Logseek to keep my notes in. And, so it uses wiki style cross links between pages, that kind of thing. Is that something you're thinking about adding to it?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things we want, like each page to be, kind of based on the network as HTML. But then it has kind of the metadata inside it, so you can remix it, or you can create cross links and things like that.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to give this a shot, because I use the hell out of that all day long. So that's fantastic.
And then the only other thing is this activity feed. You can just pop in a widget, and anything that you stamp shows up in your feed. So you can actually create kind of a little history, or it could be notes that you post publicly, and you can kind of control that feed as well.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's cool.
So you're interlinking your tech that you're building, the stamp tech and the notes tech, and now you're doing the perma pages. That's really cool. Awesome. Before we get into kind of stamps and what it does, which I think is a really powerful concept on multiple levels, it's kind of like Arweave. I think it has more uses than one, right? What has been kind of your experience as a developer working in the Arweave ecosystem, and then as a community member? I mean, when we got to the booth, you were there. I mean, there was a whole slew of folks, community members in that booth, hanging out, enthusiastic. I think Arweave's booth placement wasn't the best, but that happens. But it was really impressive to me how many folks were there that were, this isn't like paid staff at the foundation. This was a bunch of people who are enthusiastic about Arweave, who were at ETH Denver to help spread the word. So what's it been like as a developer joining this community? And then what's it been like from the perspective of just in general being a part of the whole thing?
Yeah. So as a developer, again, kind of in Web 2, the tooling has kind of gone mainstream. So there's like preferred pathways. I would say that Arweave, if you look at it as a decentralized kind of cloud platform, it's very much in that early adopter experimental phase. So as a developer, you're able to kind of stretch your strengths and run these experiments using similar but different technology. So you're using web technology, but it's kind of built on different principles, right?
Okay.
So immutability and permanence and things like that. So I would kind of compare it to, kind of the early days of Web 1 of the internet, where people are just doing a lot of small little crazy experiments and working with it. As a community member, I think this has been the first community that I've been a part of that's very self-organizing. Earlier today, just got off of a call with 25 community members interested in standardizing a spec called Atomic Assets. And these are all people that are building and interested on what Arweave can do. And there's various difference of opinions, but everyone is willing to get in a room, if you will, and discuss through that instead of creating small little kind of sub tribes within a tribe. It's very much an encouraged open dialogue between everyone in the community, which I find just very well received and also fun to work in, especially after being in environments where everything is a little more closed and less collaboration between colleagues.
That's great. That's awesome to hear. And I really got a sense of that. I feel like everyone is pretty mission based. And I think part of that comes from, the ethos that started with the project from the very beginning. But I also think that probably the nature of it not being a finance oriented project out of the gate also attracts a different group of folks. And while there are ways to make money in the Arweave ecosystem, and I'm sure everyone wants to have an income from the work they're doing there, it's also, I really think that steers the folks who are willing to work and collaborate there. And that's fantastic. I tell you, I was really shocked in talking to Sam. And the reason I got to talk to Sam was I started reading through the documentation. Like, I didn't even understand that Arweave had smart contract capabilities, right? I didn't understand all of the possibilities there were. I had always just considered it as a place to plop files. And then when I started diving into the documentation and realizing, and the community posts, and realizing what was there, I was really blown away by it. The amount of things that can be done with Arweave. So you built both of the things we've looked at now, but let's talk about Stamp. Wait, where did I go? Did I leave your, what's the primary site for Stamp?
It's stamps.live.
Stamps.live. Okay. Let's go through it and kind of first give us an orientation onto why you created it and what made you think about it. And then we'll take it through kind of what it is and what's possible with it.
Yeah. So the kind of silly story, but it's true. As I was building this permanote application, this note-taking application, any kind of public-facing content, you want to get feedback. So you want to implement a like button. As I was going through that and learning about smart contracts and SmartWeave contracts, I was like, well, why should a like button be proprietary to just each app? Why shouldn't it be more of a protocol that follows the user? So the user can see all the stuff they liked, and the creator can see everyone that liked them, right?
Nice.
Regardless of what applications they're using, right? That's
Right.
not really kind of the point. So as I started to, kind of think through that, and also I'm, kind of a teacher, and I learn by teaching. So I would publish videos of me, learning through this process. And Sam, the founder of Arweave, found it, and he's like, we really like this idea of this protocol for likes, and we think a great name for it is Stamps. So really, Stamps is kind of this creator-driven feedback mechanism that should be application agnostic, and any application should be able to implement that just like you would implement any call to any API. It should be fairly trivial. But then there's one little challenge, and he gave me a challenge. He's like, how would we go about taking these stamps and then incentivizing creators to keep their content open by getting rewards? And so that kind of led into this kind of game mechanism where if someone stamps your content and that person is a human, then you get entered into a contest to win rewards. We use a system called VouchDAO, which allows wallet holders in Arweave to verify they are humans. And then when they stamp content, it actually adds a bit of reputation to the content to give it a chance to win rewards that occur every day.
Nice. Oh, that's very cool. So if somebody stamps a piece of content, they get entered into some kind of drawing or for rewards. And then every day there's a winner of those rewards.
Yep.
And how are the rewards generated?
Yeah. So there's a smart weave contract that every time a person stamps gets a record of that, because the actual stamp is kind of a transaction on Arweave with the identification of the content and the wallet. And then at a certain block height, this reward kicks off, and it looks at all the stamps that occurred during the day and looks at all the, we call them atomic assets, all the content that was created. And it basically looks, and it's a simple algorithm, but if you've got the most stamps, but it also has like a little weighting on, if someone just goes and stamps everything, their value of their stamp is a lot less than if one person stamps one specific thing. So It's really kind of weighted to be, the incentive is to drive the highest quality created content north, right? Above the line. So the idea is not only the more stamps, but the more vouch stamps you get means that your content is considered to be very good.
Okay. Right. And then what are the rewards in the form of stamp specific tokens, or what are the rewards paid out to people in?
Yeah. So in and you can go to let me put it in here. So the token is called a stamp token, and it's a smart weave token. So it's on chain, and you can get those tokens, and basically at some point we're still working through kind of the on and off ramp,
right?
But you can get those tokens and trade them or swap them for our bar, which is like burned R.
Okay.
And yeah, they're just a little token that's rewarded based on how many stamps your content has gotten each day.
That's cool. That's very cool. And what's been the response so far? Has that looks like people are actively using it?
Yeah, it's been really good. So we just rolled out a Stamp.js library that allows more developers to add it in to their project, and we've got about 7 or 8 Arweave projects that are actually integrating stamps and more all the time. We're still in kind of this beta test phase, but we're closing that gap to kind of really release this fully in the summer of this year, to release kind of the version 1. And our goal with the stamp protocol is for it to be useful, scalable, and complete. And when I say complete, the idea is that it is kind of just out there on Arweave, running on its own with no kind of driver.
Right. Radically decentralized.
That's correct.
So, I mean, in thinking about kind of what you all have for verifying humanity with VouchDAO, stamps for a reward system, and permanotes and perma pages, I think it was.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like those are some strong components for building social networks, right? And that all of those pieces together are a way for people to interact and communicate and share content with each other. I mean, is kind of the concept behind Stamp Protocol and all of these pieces that there's this ubiquitous content flowing and user identity flowing and reward system flowing, and anybody then can build a UI around that and add other kinds of components and content to it? Or where do you think this all goes for Arweave, or where does this all go for what you're building with notes and pages?
Yeah, 100%. So the idea is really to embrace this feature that Arweave gives that not many systems do, which is called composability, or the ability to allow for data to be viewed and shared by many different applications and many different use cases. So we have a couple of standards out there that are converging to that. But yeah, the idea is, how can we incentivize creators to keep to monetize their content, but also be incentivized to keep it open, and incentivize application developers to also embrace this web of value, if you will, so that there's zero friction from anyone in the world to learn about any knowledge that's being shared, while there's some sort of economic model that allows creators to continue to create great content.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Do you envision that, or are people already working on this, that this also becomes a way for example, for replacing, Google Docs via Arweave, and allowing for people to collaborate on work-related projects on Arweave when you have kind of all these pieces together? Because not only do you have this incentive on Stamp Protocol for public content and creators, but also because of the ability to encrypt that content, you can make it so that people can actually collaborate. I would assume collaborate privately on some things, or maybe they're collaborating privately before they take things public. Is that something also kind of envisioned with some of these tools?
Yeah, 100%. So definitely the capability is there to allow for that, and the ability to essentially build those real-time protocols. There's several options out there. I think of XMPP as one that can allow for that real-time kind of editing, sharing amongst browsers. But the fundamentals are in place to build applications like that, and deliver those on the permaweb and allow for, private encrypted data to be shared in real time and edited in real time, and then publicly created on Arweave for
That's
consumption.
awesome. You sent over what I have loaded now.arweave.dev. What is this?
Yeah, so that's kind of the round out of all these applications. It's kind of like a little kind of Reddit for the permaweb, and
Oh, nice.
basically anyone that stamps content. Yeah, so some of them the composability can change, but anything that's stamped can appear on the now page. So it would appear on what's hot if it's super popular, or it would appear in the new if it was just stamped. So people can go there and kind of see what's going on.
New content.
The last 7 days. And they can also, the one last bit of the experiment is on the right. You can actually buy and sell sponsorships of that content. So if someone wanted to sponsor
awesome.
your content, they can, which is pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
that's really great. So something is picking up steam amongst users and is popular. Someone can identify that and then sponsor it so they can get. I keep getting these. Is this because I don't have a wallet installed?
It may be.
Oh no, you know what it is? I just installed. I should probably be doing this in my old browser. I just switched over to try out Microsoft Edge on my Mac because I'm sick of memory leaks. And that those words come out of my mouth is kind of strange, but it's actually performing very well. But I bet they have high security levels set up at the beginning, and I think it probably doesn't understand what's going on those pages. So that's fantastic. Now, the really interesting thing to me is that you guys adapted this to a marketing tool in the real world at ETH Denver, right? And so that to me, one of the things Joe and I talk about a lot is in tech is that the kind of unforeseen possibilities with a given development or technology and what can be done with it. So can you kind of describe for us, you can tell us how the idea came about, but also kind of describe for us how that functioned at the show and how you guys were using Stamps protocol in the real world.
Yeah. So we wanted to do, some sort of engagement game for ETH Denver, and basically QR codes are pretty cool. And one of our wallets in the community, Arweave.app, runs in web mobile. So we came up with this idea called Swag Stamper, which is the name of the game. But the idea is that there would be a few orange hoodies with a QR code on them, and then someone could take their phone and scan the QR code and essentially stamp them using stamps. So they would actually stamp that person, and they would get put on a leaderboard the more stamps they collected. But the user that made the stamp would have to stamp at least 3 times, and then they get a hoodie and they get an iron-on QR code, and then they become a player in the game.
That's awesome.
The idea was to just leverage stamps to kind of create this little network effect where the actual minting was actually getting the hoodie and getting an iron-on QR code.
I think that has like a ton of potential when you start thinking about the things that can be done at events with something like that. Like if in advance, people got where like you could have had a lot more adoption if it was like an Arweave event, right? Or if it was something where you were putting this in, a QR code in every bag of person that came in the show or whatever. But I could see this really being used in a lot of ways, right? I can see this as a business, which to me is pretty fascinating, and also a method for onboarding people into Arweave, right? Because if you could pair it with a mobile app, or you could pair it with some other type of app that people are utilizing to to access and play the game, I think there's just a ton of possibilities there. I could see you tying it into scavenger hunts and making people visit specific booths who are sponsors. I mean, there's just all kinds of ways that you could leverage it. I think that's a really cool implementation. I love that concept.
Yeah, and definitely got a lot of great feedback from it, and again, a lot of great ideas of just continuing to expand on that interchange of that physical digital kind of connection.
Yeah.
And seeing people actually get excited was super fun.
Yeah, look, I think there's an entire business around that, frankly, and I think there's a ton of potential there. So I'm excited for you guys building that. Are you doing all this by yourself?
Yes. Yeah, so right now I'm kind of founder in residence at the Forward Research focused on.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yep.
That's cool.
So I've got a grant to work on this stuff, but yeah, I've been building with some team members, but a lot of me. So a lot of getting to code. I'm going to get some help on UX because UX is not my skill, and I'm okay admitting that. But yeah, the stamp protocol has been a lot of fun to work on.
Absolutely.
It's his skill.
But I am not a designer. I'm more of a critic. That's fantastic, man. I really love the concepts here. I love kind of peeling back the layers of this onion that is Arweave and finding all these amazing things within it, and I love onions. So but I'm just so blown away by all the things that can be built on this platform. I really want more people to understand what's possible on Arweave, because I think that one of the things we've been talking about in the news, we were just talking about on before you hopped on, was Congress passing this Restrict Act, right? Which is meant to block centralized social media like TikTok from accessing Americans. Well, it seems to me that a lot of the components are in place for Arweave to be a layer that can replace a lot of what we use and how our data is used in our centralized social media applications. So it's exciting to me that there's so many potential applications to be built in Arweave, and that guys like you are not only building protocols to make that possible and to incentivize use, which is what a lot of the decentralized social media plays. There is no incentive for use, right? There is nothing that is going to, really drive adoption except for people trying to leave centralized plays. Well, with stamps, people now, you have an incentive mechanism, which we know is, the core of getting humans to do things. So I think it's really fantastic that you guys are putting together all the building blocks to make all of this possible. Now I'm opening up another link you sent me. This is the Arweave swag stamper.
Yeah, so that was the game that we ran at ETH Denver, and
right.
Just the leaderboard, so you could see.
You won.
I won. The first rule for the next time was no one working the booth can participate in the game. So.
Tom, you're out.
I'm out.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, look, I think there is just a ton of potential with Arweave. I hope this will help spread the word a little bit more. If people want to reach out, help you learn more about Arweave, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so my Twitter address is @Rackus_me. Please, follow me and send a DM. Happy to have a chat. Arweave.org is a great place to sort of get into the ecosystem. And we have a Discord for the permaweb. Let me put an invite in the chat, but that's a great place discussion and ask questions. And yeah, just a really fun community that, really is like you said, mission focused about doing, this permanent kind of data platform. So it's a lot of
That's
fun.
fantastic. Well, I'll put these in the show notes as well, but I really am excited about what's possible with Arweave. I think there's just a ton of potential for that project to become a huge player in and out of the kind of crypto financial world, and extend, almost be a bridge. I don't mean a bridge like a token bridge, but a bridge between Web 2, real world, and crypto/DeFi world. I think Arweave sits in a really great spot to onboard more people and make more things happen. So somebody's at my house.
Yeah.
So anyway, really appreciate you coming on, Tom. We will post this up in the podcast feed, and we'll have in the show notes all of the links that you sent to us. But please keep me up to date on what you're up to, and when you guys do new releases, etc. I'd love to get engaged and see what's going on there.
Great, Brad. Well, thanks again for having me. Really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day.
You too,
Thanks,
man.
Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. That's cool, man.
You know what I like about that is, that whole PermaWeb project. I forgot all about that one along the way, in the sense that, or the perma pages, whatever, where, I know the Arweave permanence, but when you started showing the messaging and things, and you brought up the stuff about social networks, it really does seem that, an ability exists there to have a documented one, that has a trail of everything that you said, and
exactly,
and the repercussions for saying things. It seems like that type of permanence might mitigate some of this, just social media toxicity that's out there in general.
You're right. When people are aware that it's always going to be there, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Niblis has a good point too.
I wonder how perma relates to things like GDPR's right to be forgotten. I have no idea how they handle that because it's on the chain. So I assume they have to hope people understand that when they come in. It's not, you can't delete that. I don't know.
I think I was reading something about this recently after ETH Denver, and I think there's some way where, because people brought that up about, hey, it's public forever, but evidently I think you just encrypt it or something, and then it's not readable. So it was the same thing a lot of the 2018 companies had to deal with, but there is a way to, I think, protect that, or, because they got the California Privacy Act here, which is a pretty significant amount of people, and evidently, if you even touch, in a message, someone from California, there's arguments that you have exposure to it. So if someone from California comes and hits a website, or you message someone, they're physically there, or the router's there or something. So they got to have this figured out, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
But I like that permanence sort of element sometimes.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. What I love all the layers that are being built in Arweave. I'm really, really impressed with that team. So I'm excited to see what comes next from them. Got a couple of other news things. Sam Bankman-Fried is now being charged with $40 million bribe to China, trying to unlock some wallets. I don't know what this Miami dental implants. That's a fucking hideous ad.
You're being targeted.
Yeah. Foreign, I forgot what it's called, the law, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. So they're just stacking shit up on his ass at this point.
They're going to get him on something. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, when he sent those DMs saying to the Chinese officials saying, could you, unlock these accounts? I could transfer 40 million over. It's like, oh God, dude. Just
I know.
One of those
these guys don't.
They're impervious.
Well, it just goes to show you that, why would anybody say that in a a digitally captured environment. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
just,
If not, at least encrypt it. You know, it's incredible.
yeah. I mean, just the stupidity there that people just think it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But you know, they're going to get him. I mean, he's got the best lawyers money can buy and all that. And but I still think that seems like there's just so many, you know, horrible mistakes that he's made. And when you're doing anything with finance, those little mistakes, like sending that text message, you know, to the foreign government guys. I mean, in a lot of ways that gets looped into wire fraud and stuff like that pretty easily, you know, and I think that's like 2 years of a violation. So, you know, if they want you, they're going to get you.
Well, I think at the end of the day, they're just stacking as much shit up as they can, so he has less leverage for negotiation, and so that he, you know, they just basically get the jail time they wanted, you know, because ultimately they just want to make an example of him, and they don't want to be in a position of negotiating down to like some minimal sentence, right? They want him serving a while.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to be. How old is he?
29 or something, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He might be seeing his 40th birthday party at his mom's house. You know? if he fights this one out all the way, you know.
Nibble says, "Who gets charged with bribing Chinese official? That's how official business is done." He said, "You don't send money; you send expensive fine art as a gift." Well, I'm sure Sam jumped into it thinking he knew how to do things and never actually bothered to talk to somebody with expertise in China. You know, that's that kind of thing. It's like that arrogant kind of, I'll just fucking send them money. But, you know, I mean, that's,
yeah.
That
does 40 million solve my problem?
Exactly.
And how?
What's the fine? And who do I send that to?
How much do you got? Yeah, that's half of it. We need twice that.
You know what we really needed in crypto? More race car sponsorship. We needed more race car sponsorships. Kraken is sponsoring Williams Racing Formula One cars. And look, I get it. Formula One is a target market, higher net worth people who watch that sport, but you know, there's a time for driving your ads hard to new market participants, and then not so much. And I don't know. To me, you know, remember how we talked to what's her name from Trust Wallet, and she talked about how stupid Sam and others were, you know, sponsoring arenas and stuff, and she said they just didn't see any value from that, driving new people to them. This is another one of those things where it's like, look, we're in the middle of a down market. The reputation of the space is shit out there right now. People are nervous and scared about crypto. I just don't get spending your money on something like this right now. Right. I understand you want to get new customers in, you want to expand the market, all that good stuff. But to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
You know what?
You know, they may.
I mean, I would think.
I don't know.
No, I doubt it. But I think that look, there's so many other ways to get to that audience. I mean, just digital marketing around the F1 website is going to get the same people in a much more low key way. Or, you know, Eric, I don't know what wallet they use for Kraken, but you know, you could probably get away with giving the friggin' device to everybody who shows up at an F1 event and make more money that way too. Exactly. With a token, it's just a little smidge. Yeah, here you go. And then airdropping everybody tokens at the event in the, you know, appropriate jurisdictions and all of that stuff, not financial advice. But there's so many ways to do it other than just putting a big logo up on a race car, you know, or when you're competing with who's already there. I mean, Mercedes-Benz, Daimler-Benz, you know, Ferrari, you know, Rolex, every luxury brand is there. I don't think it's you don't stand out, you know, that those attendees don't really even see those brands. And they drive it and wear it, but they're not susceptible.
Kraken. When they see the word Kraken on the side of a fucking race car with 500 of the logos, what the fuck does that mean?
It probably means, another F1 driver crashed and burned, smoking crack or something like that. You know, that's what all these guys are going to hear.
Yeah, I always think these things are just ego plays. I really feel like they're the CEO wants to see the brand on the car and they love Formula One and they want to be able to go to the event and say, that's my brand on that Williams racing car. Right. And it's like, to me, I don't know. I wouldn't be happy with it if I was a shareholder, but I'm not. So fuck it.
No, and I don't know who the Williams team is, but I mean, there's no guarantees that those teams finish first either. Yeah. The competition is pretty heavy. I think we said it right at the beginning, is that sponsor the event. The Formula One Asia Cup sponsored by Kraken,
right,
or the Austin one sponsored by Kraken, something like that, where you get that bang for the buck versus being on a car or something. Because then that car's got to do well, or do you really get good brand placement being on a car coming in last all the time, let's say, or sixth or seventh? I mean, I don't know anything about Williams, but I mean, with Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz there and 3 or 4 other top tier companies, it's going to be hard to get in that winner's circle.
Right.
So,
earlier when we were talking about the Restrict Act, Shizzy said Restrict Act is another Operation Choke Point tactic, in my opinion. I agree, Shizzy. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. Interestingly, I had this article loaded up. This is the law firm. Let me pull up their name here. Cooper and Kirk. They are the ones that actually sued the FDIC in Operation Choke Point 1 that forced them to pull it back from what they were doing to try to restrict people's access to banking. And they've written up, I haven't had a chance to go through this paper yet, but they wrote up a 37-page white paper that they published yesterday that details how they see this as Operation Choke Point 2 based on their experience suing for Operation Choke Point 1. So I'm really hopeful that one of the legislative groups, one of the orgs within crypto that has lobbying money is going to hire these guys to go after them. I haven't read the whole article to find out if they're actually going to sue the FDIC on behalf of crypto or not. But I definitely, if you wanted to hire any firm to fight this and make sure that they stop debanking people that are in crypto, those would probably be the right guys. So,
yeah.
But basically what their white paper says, the gist of it is this is exactly what Operation Choke Point 1.0 was. This is exactly what it was. It's exactly the tactics they used, and they sued the FDIC and they forced them to stop doing it. So interesting that the FDIC and the White House and whomever else is leading this effort would use the same tactics that got them thrown out legally last time. But I really hope that I hope this law firm is going to go after it. We'll see. Yeah.
I mean, it's, it's funny because we see all this doom and gloom news constantly, but then, another link that you have in the feed too, that we ran across a few times, was the Fidelity stuff.
Yeah.
Where Fidelity is, openly going to be custodying crypto assets for people or are.
Yeah.
And, and they've got what, $4.5 trillion in assets under management. So, I mean, I think they mentioned, I don't remember what the article said, it was 4.5 billion or 45 billion, but it was definitely a big number of digital assets there. And they don't seem worried.
No. And they're expanding their efforts. I saw something the other day talking about how they're trying to reach out and do more in the crypto space. I also saw, we didn't get time to get to it yesterday or today. And by the way, Joe, I have to run. I just realized it's 1 o'clock.
Go for it.
That NASDAQ is launching a custody operation for crypto, which to me, I was like, okay. Now, I have a suspicion that that's related to the new regulation that Gensler is pushing with the SEC to require custody. And so NASDAQ's like, well, fuck it. We'll just take a piece of this action. But, they're still moving down that path. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, so 2 big ones. So then when you think about Coinbase and their stock, I don't know what's doing today, but, they're getting Wells noticed and then their stock cratering again. I mean, that's a premier acquisition target for so many digital companies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not too, like you say, it's not too easy to see the puppet masters, pulling strings behind the scenes to
absolutely
get this all consolidated. But anyhow, it's we always thought institutional was going to be the exit liquidity, but I didn't really see it happen in this way. I saw it happen in a different way. But hey, overseas, man, still going strong. So
Yeah.
you know, history will judge these moves accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you,
All right,
Tom,
buddy.
for appearing on the show today. Thank you, Shizzy, Niblets, and Sean for participating, giving us your comments. Sean, I'm sure you're going to be having a few over CZ's grave here. I'm sure you're looking forward to finding out if a fine is big enough to shut them down. Of course, that will make your 6,000 price point for Bitcoin probably look like a premium all-time high after that collapse, if that happens. But we'll see what happens. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating. Thank you for listening and watching. If you are listening on your podcast player, which most of you do, please take 2 minutes to go rate and review us. It really helps us boost ourselves. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, click the little bell, and make sure you smash the thumbs up for giving us another boost in the algorithm. If you have not yet, you're missing out. Join our Telegram community, t.me/mission DeFi, t.me/mission DeFi. Lots and lots of awesome content over there. Do not miss out. And that's it, Joe. I hope you have a great day.
You too, buddy. Good luck on your calls, and you have a great day too. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.